True crime stories often leave us questioning the boundaries of human behavior. Today, we dive into a chilling case that shook the quiet town of Talladega, Alabama, to its core. The disappearance and brutal murder of 29-year-old Samantha Payne is a tale of betrayal, drugs, and unimaginable horror. Samantha Payne, a bright and loving woman, was last seen alive on October 30th, 2015. She left her parents' house to attend a Halloween party, but she never returned. What happened in the days following her disappearance is a story that will leave you unsettled. Samantha's life seemed to be on track. She had a close-knit family, a supportive group of friends, and a promising future. But on the night of her 29th birthday, her life took a terrifying turn. October 30th, 2015 started as a night of celebration. Samantha attended a Halloween party, dressed up and ready to enjoy her birthday. But as the night wore on, something went wrong. Witnesses recall seeing her leave the party with a group of people she barely knew. That was the last time anyone saw her alive. Samantha's mother, Susie Payne, reported her missing on November 9th, 2015, after not hearing from her daughter for over a week. Little did she know Samantha's fate had already been sealed. On the morning of November 9th, 2015, a man exploring the Talladega National Forest stumbled upon a horrifying sight. A woman, naked and tied to a tree with barbed wire, her throat slashed and her head detached from her body. The gruesome discovery was immediately reported to the authorities. Law enforcement quickly identified the victim as Samantha Payne. The autopsy revealed a disturbing detail. Many of her internal organs were missing, making it impossible to determine the exact cause of death. The nature of her injuries and the way her body was found pointed to one conclusion. Samantha had been brutally tortured and murdered. The investigation into Samantha Payne's murder began immediately. As investigators combed through the evidence, a tip from a police officer pointed them toward a suspicious couple who had been arrested near the forest. The couple, Stephen George and Chili Bruce, were found covered in blood and carrying meth. Their connection to Samantha's murder soon became apparent. Stephen and Chili claimed that a man named Michael Belcher was responsible for Samantha's death. But as investigators dug deeper, it became clear that this was not a simple case of pointing fingers. Stephen and Chili themselves were involved in the horrific events that led to Samantha's death. According to Stephen and Chili, the murder took place on November 1st, 2015. The group was hanging out at a repair shop owned by Michael Belcher's father, getting high on meth. As the drugs took hold, a sinister plan began to form. Stephen decided to steal the catalytic converter and battery from Samantha's car. He drove her car to a remote location, removed the parts, and then set the car on fire. When Samantha realized her car was missing, she was furious. She accused the group of stealing it and threatened to call the police. Fearing that she would follow through on her threat, Michael Belcher decided that Samantha had to be silenced. What followed was a night of unimaginable torture. Samantha was forcibly stripped, hogtied, and beaten for hours. Her fingernails, toenails, and even some of her teeth were ripped out with pliers. Throughout the torture, Samantha pleaded for her life, telling her captors that she loved and forgave them, but her words fell on deaf ears. This level of brutality is horrifying. The fact that Samantha showed such strength and forgiveness in the face of unimaginable pain makes it even more tragic. It's devastating to think that her pleas for mercy were ignored. Michael Belcher, the ringleader, ordered the final blow. Samantha was thrown into the trunk of Belcher's car and driven to the Talladega National Forest. Despite her attempts to escape, she was recaptured and taken deep into the woods. Once they reached the forest, Samantha was tied to a tree with barbed wire. As she begged for her life, Belcher coldly slashed her throat. It was a brutal end to a nightmarish ordeal. Following the discovery of Samantha's body, police executed search warrants at Belcher's home and car. The evidence they found was damning. Samantha's clothes were found inside Belcher's car, and her car battery was discovered in his house. Chili Bruce and Stephen George were both arrested and charged with capital murder, but they cut a deal with prosecutors. In exchange for their testimony against Belcher, they were allowed to plead guilty to lesser charges. Chili received a 20-year sentence with eligibility for parole after 5 years, while Stephen received life in prison with eligibility for parole after 15 years. Michael Belcher was not as fortunate. He was offered no plea deal. Prosecutors sought the death penalty, determined to hold him accountable for the heinous crime. During Belcher's trial, his defense attorney argued that while Belcher was involved, he did not initiate the crime. The attorney sought to reduce the charge to felony murder instead of capital murder. But the jury saw through the defense's argument. On March 11, 2019, Michael Belcher was found guilty of capital murder. The jury's decision was unanimous. Belcher would pay the ultimate price for his role in Samantha Payne's brutal murder. Samantha Payne's death was a tragedy that rocked the community of Talladega, Alabama. While justice was served, her family and friends are left with a void that can never be filled. Let Samantha's story serve as a reminder of the dangers that can lurk in the shadows and the importance of cherishing the time we have with our loved ones. Thank you for joining us on this harrowing journey into the dark side of human nature. If you found this story compelling, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future episodes. Stay safe.